Residents of a Woodbury County community are speaking out tonight after Mid-American Energy confirmed it's looking at recently annexed land in Salix, Iowa, as a potential site for a data center. Now, this is some of the land in question, 900 acres of agricultural land that was just annexed into the city of Salix last month. At that time, the city told KTIV it had no plans to change the zoning of the land and had no request from any party to do so. Now, tonight, the city council was presented with a letter from Mid-American Energy saying it's acquired options on those 900 acres and is evaluating the site for possible development as a data center. Mid-American says the land's proximity to power lines give it strong development potential, and the utility is in discussion with several possible customers to build and operate a data center. Tonight, people packed the Salix Community Center, and about a dozen people spoke to the city council about the proposal. The council even expanded that meeting room to accommodate the larger crowd. The vice president for project development for Mid-American Energy says this is inning number 1 of a 9-inning game as they speak to potential customers who might develop the Salix site. Mid-American admits that a data center is a possibility.
I would say, we aren't certain it's going to be a data center, but this is a good location for a data center. So I would say it's likely to be a data center, but until we have somebody signed up, we really won't know. But it is an ideal location for a data center customer.
Some residents showed up to tonight's meeting to express concerns about the potential for a data center. That included concerns over noise, water usage, and even their utility prices.
This is our community, and if we don't fight right now, like the rest of the country's doing, look around. This is going to eat us up and chew us out.
Noise, I'm worried about the noise 24/7 and the humming and the decibel levels.
Water usage. Mega centers can use up to 5 million gallons of water per day.
KTIV also spoke to the mayor of Salix, Kevin Nelson. If a developer wanted to build a data center on that land, Nelson says zoning of the land would have to change first. Then he says it would take months more before the city council would vote on anything.